She thought she was saving a dying wolf on a dark highway. But the moment her hands touched its heart, she didn't just save a life. She rewrote the fate of an entire hidden kingdom. A human paramedic. A secret werewolf king bleeding out in the dirt. A forbidden mark that binds their souls, and could destroy them both. Now the pack wants her dead, the throne is collapsing. And the Alpha King must choose between his crown and the woman who never meant to change his destiny. This isn't a love story. This is a war written in blood, moonlight, and fate. Alright, before we start, where in the world are you watching this from? Let's light up the comments. Night had swallowed the highway whole. Thick fog drifted across the asphalt like pale ghosts, and the cold wind brushed against Elena Reed's face as she stepped out of the ambulance. The call had come in as a single vehicle accident. Possible animal strike, driver unconscious, location unclear. Normal enough for a night shift near Blackthorn National Park. But something felt wrong the moment she stepped out. Her flashlight beam cut through the fog and caught the twisted metal of a car crushed against a fallen tree. The windshield was shattered outward, glass scattered like frozen stars on the road. Elena tightened her grip on her medical bag. "Tom, check the car." "I'll look around," she told her partner. Tom nodded and headed toward the smoking wreck. Elena scanned the edge of the forest, her boots crunching over broken glass. Something big had moved through here. She could feel it, like the forest itself had inhaled. Then she heard it. A low, pained growl. Her heart jumped. "Tom," she called softly. "There's an animal. Maybe a deer. Injured." But as she stepped forward, the fog thinned just enough for her to see it clearly. Not a deer. A massive black wolf, far larger than any wolf should be, lay on its side on the wet ground. Its fur was matted with blood, its ribs rising and falling in shallow, weak breaths. Elena froze. The wolf's eyes opened, deep silver, too intelligent, too aware. They locked onto hers, and she felt something jolt through her body, sharp and electric. "Easy," she whispered. "I'm here to help you, okay?" The wolf's ears twitched. It didn't snarl or try to move, only watched her with a strange intensity, as if trying to understand her. Tom jogged over. "Elena, what are you doing? That thing is huge. It could tear your arm off." "It's dying," she said firmly. "I'm not leaving it like this." Tom hesitated, then sighed. "You're insane." "Fine. I'll keep watch." Elena knelt beside the wolf, moving slowly. Its breathing hitched, and a weak growl rumbled from its chest, but it didn't bite. "That's right," she murmured. "Stay with me. You're hurt, but I can help." Her hands hovered over its side. A long, deep gash ran across its ribcage, too clean, like a blade had sliced through fur and muscle. "What happened to you?" Elena whispered. She pressed her gloved hand to the wound to stop the bleeding. The moment her palm touched the wolf's skin, a burning shock shot through her hand. She gasped, her body jerking back instinctively. Her glove smoked, and her skin beneath felt seared. The wolf lunged, not at her, but upward, as if the burning touch had shocked it too. Its eyes blazed silver, brighter than moonlight. "Elena!" Tom shouted. "Back away!" But she didn't move. She couldn't. The wolf stared at her, chest heaving. Then it dipped its head, almost like a nod, before its massive body trembled. And without a sound, it bolted into the fog, vanishing between the trees as if the forest swallowed it whole. A final flash of silver eyes disappeared into darkness. Elena remained frozen, her breath shaking. "What was that?" Tom grabbed her shoulders. "You okay? Did it bite you?" "No," she said softly, staring at her palm. But something happened. The skin of her hand glowed faintly beneath the burned glove, just for a moment, like embers beneath ash. Then the glow faded, leaving only heat and confusion behind. Elena swallowed hard. Something was waiting in that forest, something alive, intelligent, and hiding. Something connected to her now. Pain dragged Alexander Hale back into consciousness like metal claws scraping across bone. He lay on stone, cold, familiar stone. The underground halls of Understone keep hummed with quiet energy around him. He tasted blood in his mouth. His ribs burned. The sound of distant footsteps echoed faintly. Slowly, he sat up. Every muscle screamed. His skin felt tight, stretched over the shape of something larger. He remembered the crash. The hunters. Running. The blade. The fog. And her. The human. Alexander closed his eyes, remembering the moment her hand touched his wound. The unexpected warmth. The surge of fire, bright, ancient, impossible. A soul burn. It couldn't be. Your Majesty. A voice approached, cold, clipped, and loyal. Cole Mercer, his beta enforcer, dropped to one knee, head bowed. You're alive, Cole said. Barely. We found you half-shifted in the forest. What happened? Alexander ignored the question and looked down at his bare chest. There it was. A dark mark, shaped like a burn and glowing softly beneath the skin, right over his heart. Not a wound. Not a scar. A bond. Alexander felt his jaw tighten. It was a human, he said quietly. Cole's head snapped up. A human did this to you. A paramedic, Alexander muttered. A woman. Cole stood, pacing. This is impossible. Humans can't create soul burn marks. Only. I know what the laws say, Alexander interrupted sharply. I felt the burn. I felt the bond. Cole's voice turned hard. Then she's a threat to the throne. If she marked you, she controls your power. She needs to be. Don't finish that sentence, Alexander growled. Cole stopped pacing. My king, this bond can destroy you. And if it destroys you, it destroys us all. Before Alexander could respond, the heavy doors of the chamber opened. Serena Clark entered, a tall she-wolf with pale hair that curled like moonlight and eyes as sharp as shattered ice. She wore a dark dress that shimmered with silver threads, each step calculating and precise. She didn't bow. She never bowed. Alexander, she said calmly. News travels fast underground. I heard you were injured. And marked. Cole bristled. The council will want answers. The pack is already whispering. Serena's gaze dropped to Alexander's chest, to the faint glowing mark. So it's true, she said softly. A human touched you. Alexander met her stare with cold indifference. She saved my life. Serena's expression tightened, just slightly, but enough to betray jealousy burning beneath her calm exterior. How touching, she murmured. But impractical. Humans are fragile, foolish, and forbidden. She didn't know what she was doing, Alexander said. She only wanted to help. Exactly, Serena snapped. A human who can mark an alpha king without knowing it is more dangerous than a trained assassin. Alexander felt irritation stir under his calm facade. She didn't harm me. Cole stepped forward. Sire, with all due respect, she has already harmed you. Soulburn marks are unstable unless completed. If she rejects the bond, your power weakens. If she chooses another male, your power collapses. The council will demand her death. Alexander's voice dropped to a low warning growl. No one touches her. Serena raised a brow. You're protecting her already? How sentimental of you. Alexander stood, muscles tense but steady. Bring her to me, he said quietly. Alive. Unharmed. Cole hesitated. You want her here? In the keep? I want answers, Alexander said. And I want to know why the bond formed. Cole nodded reluctantly. As you command. But Serena stepped closer to Alexander, lowering her voice. You're risking everything for a human, she whispered. The throne. The loyalty of your pack. The laws that keep our world hidden. Why? Alexander's silver eyes darkened. I don't owe you an explanation. Serena's smile didn't reach her eyes. Oh, but you do. To your people. To your kingdom. And to me. Her gaze slid to the glowing mark again. That human girl will either break you, or own you. Alexander felt the mark pulse, warm, steady, alive. I decide my own fate, he said. Serena's smile faded. Not anymore. She holds it now. Later that night. Cole accompanied Alexander into the grand stone hall, the torches burning blue against the carved walls. Wolves in humanoid form glanced at him as he passed. Fear, curiosity, anger. Word had spread. Whispers followed him like smoke. Marked by a human. The king is compromised. This could destroy us. Alexander ignored them. He reached the council chamber, but before he could enter, Cole spoke quietly behind him. Alexander, what if the girl didn't save you by accident? What if someone sent her? A hunter? A witch? Alexander shook his head. No. She didn't smell of fear or deception. Only concern. Humans can lie. She didn't. Cole studied him, concerned. You already trust her? Alexander exhaled slowly. I don't trust her. I trust what I felt. Cole hesitated, then nodded. I will bring her here. Carefully. Alexander placed a hand over the glowing mark. Soft heat pulsed beneath his skin, as if responding to the memory of her touch. His voice dropped to a whisper. Find her, Cole. Before the others do. Elena dreamed of silver eyes. The kind that glowed even in darkness, the kind that watched her with an intensity that felt too real to be a dream. A flash of black fur. The burn of heat under her skin. Then a low growl, close, too close. Her eyes snapped open. Cold stone pressed against her back. A dim torch flickered somewhere above her, creating dancing shadows on rough walls. The air smelled of damp earth, and something else. Something wild, like forest air trapped underground. Her heart slammed against her ribs. This wasn't the ambulance. This wasn't the hospital. This wasn't anywhere she had ever been. She scrambled upright. A heavy wooden door stood several feet away, banded in black iron. No windows. No chairs. No medical equipment. Just stone, shadows, and silence. Panic clawed at her throat. Where am I? Before she could fully collect her thoughts, the latch on the door clanked. The sound echoed through the room like a warning. It opened slowly. A man stepped inside, tall, broad-shouldered, with sharp dark eyes and an expression carved from stone. His clothes were simple but military-like, dark pants and a fitted shirt that showed the strength beneath. His presence filled the room instantly. Don't move, he said. Elena pressed back instinctively. Who are you? Where am I? Why am I here? The man didn't blink. My name is Cole Mercer. I am the beater of this pack. Beater of what? She asked, voice tight. He ignored the question and stepped closer. You will come with me. And you will not run. If you run, the others might react badly. Elena's breath hitched. What others? Cole didn't answer. He simply turned and stepped out of the room, leaving the door open as if assuming she'd follow. She didn't want to follow him. But being alone in this strange underground place felt worse. Heart pounding, Elena stepped into the hallway. Torches lined the walls, casting warm light on carved stone pillars. The ceiling arched above them, impossibly tall for an underground structure. Cole walked ahead without slowing. Elena finally found her voice. You kidnapped me. You were brought here, he corrected. Not killed. That was a choice I made. That doesn't make me feel better, she said. It wasn't meant to. They walked through a long corridor before Cole stopped in front of massive double doors made of ebony wood carved with symbols Elena didn't recognize. Cole looked down at her, something unreadable flickering through his eyes. Do not show fear, he said quietly. They'll smell it. Who will? He didn't answer. He pushed the doors open. Light flooded out. Inside was a vast hall, walls carved with ancient symbols and roots breaking through stone in places. Dozens of people stood inside, men and women who looked human at first glance but held themselves with a predatory stillness. Their eyes glowed faintly in the torchlight. Every head turned toward Elena the moment she entered. The air grew heavy, thick with tension. Elena swallowed hard. Cole stepped beside her, his presence sharp and protective. Stay behind me, he murmured. At the far end of the hall, seated on a raised stone platform, was the man from her nightmares. The man whose wolf she had saved. Alexander Hale. He wasn't a wolf now. He sat upright in a black tunic, his posture regal, shoulders broad and straight. His hair fell in slightly messy dark waves to his shoulders. His eyes, those silver eyes, were fixed entirely on her. He didn't blink, didn't breathe, didn't look away. For a moment, neither did she. One of the council members, a thin woman with long braids, spoke first. "That is the human?" she asked. Cole nodded. "Elena Reed." A low hum passed through the hall. "She shouldn't be here. It is dangerous." She marked the king. Elena flinched. "Marked? What are you talking about? I didn't mark anyone." Alexander stood. The room fell silent instantly, like the air itself bowed to him. "Elena Reed," he said, his voice deep and steady. "Come forward." Cole's hand closed around her arm as a warning. "You don't refuse him," he whispered. Elena's legs felt heavy, but she forced them to move, stepping into the center of the hall. Her skin prickled with the weight of dozens of eyes. Alexander descended the platform with slow, controlled movements, stopping only a few feet away. "You saved my life," he said. Elena blinked up at him. "I tried to help an injured wolf. That's all." Cole let out a sharp breath, but Elena didn't understand why. Alexander extended his hand. A faint glow pulsed beneath the skin of his chest, right over his heart, the same glow she'd seen on her palm. "This," he said, touching his chest lightly, "is because of you." Elena stared at the glowing mark. That happened when I touched you, but I only wanted to stop the bleeding." "You triggered something ancient," Alexander replied. "A soul-burn bond." "A what?" "It ties my life to your touch," he said. "Your presence. Your choices." "That's insane," she whispered. He took one slow step closer. "But it is real." Elena's breath caught in her throat. Before anyone could speak again, a smooth voice echoed from the side of the room. "How touching." Elena turned to see a beautiful woman walking toward them, tall, elegant, with pale golden hair and cold blue eyes. Her dress shimmered like silver armor in the torchlight. Serena Clark. She stopped beside Alexander, her posture flawless. "This human girl has caused chaos in less than one night," Serena said, looking Elena over with disdain. "Imagine what she could do with more time." "I'm not here to cause chaos," Elena protested. "I just woke up here. I didn't ask for any of this." Serena smiled thinly. "Of course you didn't. Humans never do." Alexander's eyes narrowed. "That's enough." Serena raised a brow. "I am only stating the truth." Alexander stepped closer to Elena, shielding her slightly from the crowd, his authority radiating like heat. "She stays under my protection," he said. Gasps filled the hall. Cole stiffened but said nothing. Serena's eyes flashed with something sharp. Jealousy? Anger? Possessiveness? "Then you are risking everything, Alexander," she said softly. "Your throne. Your legacy. Your authority." "Elena stays," he repeated. Serena's jaw tightened. The council whispered nervously, but no one dared challenge him further. Alexander turned to Elena. "Come. You and I need to speak alone." Elena's stomach clenched, but she followed him as he led her through the hall, past watchful eyes that felt like claws. Behind her, Serena's voice carried just enough for Elena to hear. "That human girl will break him. You'll see." Alexander led Elena into a quieter corridor branching off from the grand hall. Torches burned low here, casting soft shadows across the stone. She kept a cautious distance from him. "Where am I?" she asked finally. "What is this place?" "Understone," Alexander replied. "The capital of my people." "And your people are, what, exactly?" Alexander stopped. He turned to her fully, his posture straight, his gaze sharp. "We are werewolves." Elena stared. No laugh escaped her. No gasp. Just a frozen silence as her brain tried to process the impossible. "That's not real," she whispered. "It is," Alexander said, voice firm. "You saw me injured in my wolf form. You felt the burn. You know something happened that night." Elena pressed a hand to her temple. This is too much. I'm a paramedic. I help people who crash their cars, who break their bones, who... You helped me, he said quietly. She stopped talking. The night you touched me, Alexander continued, your hand created a bond that has not happened in over a century. A soul burn mark forms only once in a lifetime, and never between a human and an alpha. But I didn't do anything, she insisted. Yes, Alexander said. You did. He stepped closer. His voice softened. You saved me, and my body recognized your touch as something more. Elena swallowed hard. Why do I feel heat in my hand when you look at me? Because your body is responding to the bond now as well. Elena stepped back. No, this is wrong. I didn't choose this. Neither did I, Alexander said. He didn't sound angry. He sounded tired. Before Elena could say anything, Cole appeared at the end of the corridor. Alexander, he said, voice tight. The council demands to meet. Now. Alexander's expression hardened. About. The human, Cole replied. About the bond. About your ability to lead while linked to her. They say your power could become unstable. Alexander clenched his jaw, then turned to Elena. Stay close. Do not speak unless spoken to. And do not, under any circumstances, show fear. Elena followed him back down the corridor toward a darker, smaller chamber. Inside, the council sat at a round stone table, their faces grim. One elder, a man with silver streaking his beard, stood when Alexander entered. Your Majesty, he said, we must speak plainly. Then speak, Alexander replied. This bond threatens everything. A human cannot carry the soul burn. She is too weak, too unpredictable, too foreign to our traditions. The elder's eyes darted to Elena. Her presence already unsettles the pack. Serena stepped forward. She had been waiting. Elena could see the satisfaction in her eyes. She is a danger, Serena said. She must be removed. Elena stiffened. Removed? What does that mean? No one answered. Alexander's voice dropped to a growl. She is under my protection. Serena tilted her head. Then you protect danger. Cole remained silent but tense, arms crossed, watching both Alexander and Elena with a mixture of worry and calculation. The elder councilwoman leaned forward. Alpha, a human with a soul burn, could destroy the pack's connection to the moon. She could weaken your power. If she dies suddenly, you could die too. Elena's breath caught. What? Alexander didn't look at her. The councilwoman continued, your enemies will try to kill her to reach you. Serena stepped closer, eyes cold. And you know they will succeed. Alexander stepped between Serena and Elena. No one touches her. The elder slammed his cane against the floor. Then choose, Alexander. Your throne, or the human girl. Silence crushed the room. Even the torches seemed to dim. Alexander's jaw flexed. His eyes lowered, not in defeat, but in careful thought. He finally spoke. I will choose my own path. Not the one you push on me. Serena hissed softly. You are blinded. Alexander ignored her. He turned to Elena. You are not safe here, he said softly. Not from them. Not from anyone. Elena swallowed hard. Then why bring me? Because I needed to see you, he said. To know if the bond was real. To know if you were a threat. And am I? Alexander studied her, eyes unreadable, silver light swirling like a storm behind them. No, he whispered. You are something else entirely. Elena didn't remember falling asleep. She only remembered the voices. The council arguing. Alexander's steady, unshakable voice standing between her and a room full of creatures who wanted her gone. The echo of Serena's cold words. Threat. Danger. Weak link. And then silence. When she woke, she was no longer in the stone halls of the council chamber, but in a small room carved into the underground walls. A single torch burned low, bathing the space in soft orange light. A thick fur blanket covered her, warmer than anything she'd ever felt. For a moment, she thought she was alone. She wasn't. A shadow stood leaning against the far wall, arms crossed, posture alert and unmoving. The second her eyes opened, he spoke. "You're awake." Cole. His tone was neither relieved nor hostile, just neutral, observing, like she was a puzzle he still didn't want to touch. Elena rubbed her face. "Why am I here?" "Because the king ordered it," Cole said. "You're safer in this wing until he decides what happens next." "What happens next?" she repeated, breath catching. "That sounds like I'm on trial." Cole didn't deny it. She sat up, pulling the blanket tighter around herself. Everything about the room felt ancient and foreign, yet strangely protective. The walls were painted with dark symbols, wolves, moons, spirals, and runes she couldn't understand. Cole pushed off the wall. "You should eat." "I'm not hungry," she muttered. It wasn't a suggestion. He handed her a plate of bread and berries. She hesitated, but hunger eventually won. Cole watched her like a guard watching a prisoner, but there was no cruelty in his eyes, only caution. "Where's Alexander?" she asked quietly. Cole's jaw tightened. "Meeting with the council. They're difficult when afraid." "And they're afraid of me." "Yes," Cole said bluntly. "They fear anyone who can influence the king, especially someone they didn't choose." Elena lowered the bread. "I don't want to influence anyone. I just want to go home." Cole's eyes flickered with something strange, sympathy maybe, or understanding, but it disappeared quickly. "You can't," he said. "Why not?" "Because the mark ties your life to his," Cole replied. "The further you go from him, the more unstable his strength becomes. He could weaken, lose control, or worse." Elena's pulse quickened. "So I'm trapped?" "In a sense, yes." Her stomach dropped. Cole added, more quietly, "For what it's worth, he's trying to protect you." "From what?" Cole looked toward the door. His voice lowered. "From Serena. From the council. From the pack. From anyone who believes you threaten our laws. Or threaten him." Elena swallowed hard. "He's the king. Why don't they listen to him?" Cole gave a humorless laugh. "Every king has enemies. Ours just hide it better." Before Elena could respond, the door opened. Alexander walked in. The air shifted instantly. Cole straightened. Elena stiffened. The room felt too small for a presence as large as Alexander's. He looked exhausted, shadows under his eyes, tension in his jaw, yet there was a fierce steadiness in him, as if he'd fought a battle and won only half of it. "Leave us," he told Cole. Cole nodded and exited without a word. Alexander turned to Elena. "Are you hurt?" he asked. She blinked. "No." He exhaled, as if relieved. Elena pulled the blanket tighter around her. "Why am I in your room?" "It's not mine," he said. "It's a guest chamber. One of the few places Serena doesn't have access to." Her pulse jumped. "She wants me gone that badly." "Gone is a gentle word for it," Alexander replied. He stepped closer, stopping a few feet away, giving her space. "I brought you here for your safety. Nothing more. Your council hates me. They fear what they don't understand." "And you," she whispered. "Do you understand any of this?" Alexander's expression softened, slightly. "No. But I trust what I felt." Elena shook her head. "Why are you protecting me? I don't understand what's happening between us." Alexander lowered himself to sit at the edge of the stone bench opposite her. "Then let me explain." He touched the glowing mark on his chest. "This bond isn't a choice. Not mine. Not yours. But it is real. When you touched me, your soul recognized mine. That should not be possible. And because of that," Elena said slowly, "your entire world sees me as a threat." "Yes. That's insane." "I agree." Their eyes held. Something warm tugged between them, gentle, like a magnetic pull neither could fully resist. Alexander looked away first. I will take you to the surface, he said. Away from the densest parts of Understone. It is safer there. Safer for me, Elena said. Or safer for your throne? Both. He stood and extended a hand. Elena hesitated only a moment before taking it. The mark on his chest pulsed gently, and her palm warmed, as if answering it. They walked through narrow tunnels and out into a massive cavern. A waterfall rushed down one side of the rocky walls, glowing with moonlit moss. High above, light filtered through cracks in the earth, illuminating forest roots hanging like veins. Is this all underground? Elena whispered. Yes, Alexander said. Our city is beneath Blackthorn Forest, hidden from human eyes. They reached a stone stairway carved into the cavern wall. When they emerged outdoors, the morning sun filtered through towering pine trees. Birds chirped. The air smelled of dew and pine needles. It felt like stepping back into the human world, but not fully. Alexander stopped beside a clearing. You will stay here for now, he said. Cole will guard the perimeter. I will visit often. The others won't come this far without my command. And Serena? Elena asked. Alexander's jaw tightened. She will obey me. For now. Elena shivered. That doesn't sound comforting. It wasn't meant to. He turned slightly, silver eyes drifting over her face. Elena, if you feel weak, dizzy, or overwhelmed, you must tell me immediately. The bond is new. It may cause side effects. What kind of side effects? Alexander hesitated. Dreams. Heat. Emotional flooding. Disorientation. Elena blinked hard. You mean I might feel what you feel? In fragments, Alexander said. Not fully. That's terrifying. It can be, he admitted. But I will help you through it. He stepped back into the trees. I will return at dusk. He disappeared into the shadows of the forest, leaving Elena alone, halfway between two worlds she never asked for. Dusk fell fast in the enchanted forest. The sky turned deep purple, the moon rising early, its light shimmering unnaturally across the treetops. Elena stayed close to the stone hut Alexander had placed her in. Cole lingered nearby, never inside, never far, always watching. Hours passed. Crickets sang. Leaves rustled. The air grew colder. Darkness crept across the clearing. Then, a branch snapped. Cole straightened instantly, nostrils flaring. Stay inside. Before Elena could react, he rushed into the trees. Silence followed. A cold, sharp silence. Elena stepped back toward the door. Her heart hammered. The forest felt wrong. Heavy. Like the air itself was holding its breath. A low growl echoed between the pines. Not Cole's voice. Another. Then another. Then three more. Elena froze. Shadows moved through the trees, large shapes, low to the ground. Wolves. But not like Alexander. These were smaller, leaner, their eyes yellow instead of silver, their fur bristling with hostility. Rogues. Elena stumbled backward toward the hut, panic rising fast. One wolf crept into the clearing, teeth bared. Another followed behind it. And another. Elena's voice trembled. Cole? No answer. The wolves snarled. Elena sprinted toward the hut, but one wolf leapt in front of her, blocking the door. She backed away slowly, her breath shaking. A voice called from the shadows. Well, well. The human girl wandering alone. Elena's blood turned to ice. Serena stepped out from behind the rogue wolves, dressed in dark leathers instead of royal silks. Her smile was cold and sharp. You shouldn't be here, Serena said. You sent them, Elena whispered. You brought rogues into your own forest. I brought balance, Serena replied. The council is indecisive. The king is irrational. Someone has to fix this mess. Elena shook her head in disbelief. You're going to kill me. Of course, Serena said simply. And then Alexander will return to us, unbonded, unburdened. The wolves advanced. Elena backed away until her spine hit a tree. Her heart pounded wildly. She closed her eyes. Then, a roar erupted through the forest. Not a human sound. Not a natural sound. A monstrous sound. A warning. A threat. Something massive crashed through the trees, dark fur rippling like shadows tearing through the forest. Silver eyes burned like fire in the night. Alexander. Not as a man. As a wolf, larger than any creature Elena had ever imagined, monstrous and magnificent. His fur bristled, his jaws dripping with rage. He hit the first rogue with bone-shattering force. The wolf yelped, thrown into the trees. Another lunged, and Alexander turned, snapping its neck in one brutal motion. Serena cursed and shifted partially, her features sharpening, claws extending, before leaping out of reach. The remaining rogues circled. Alexander roared again, a sound so powerful the ground vibrated beneath Elena's feet. He tore into them with feral precision, unstoppable, unrestrained. But he wasn't fighting like a king. He was fighting like something wild, protecting what was his. Elena's heart pounded as the last rogue tried to escape. Alexander lunged, dragging it down with terrifying force. When the fight ended, the clearing was silent except for Alexander's heavy breaths. He turned slowly toward Elena. His silver eyes glowed fiercely. His wolf form towered over her, massive and dangerous, fur drenched with blood, some his, some not. Elena's breath caught. He stepped closer. The bond pulsed, hot, urgent. Alexander lowered his head, pressing his massive forehead gently against her chest, breathing her in. A soft whine escaped him. Elena's fear melted. She lifted a trembling hand to his fur. "You found me," she whispered. Alexander nuzzled her again, almost desperately. Then he shifted. It happened in a rush of heat and moonlight, fur retreating, bones reshaping, form shrinking until Alexander knelt on the ground before her, human again, naked from the transformation, chest rising and falling in ragged breaths. "Elena," he whispered. "I felt your fear." He reached for her hand, gripping it tightly. "I almost lost you." Elena knelt in front of him, heart racing. "You didn't." Alexander pressed her hand to his chest. The soul burn mark glowed violently, hot enough to sting. "Elena," he said, voice rough, "your fear nearly broke me." She shook her head. "I didn't mean. You don't understand." His voice trembled with raw intensity. "Your fear becomes my fury. Your pain becomes my weakness. If someone hurts you, I lose myself." His fingers curled gently around her wrist. "You're not just tied to me," he whispered. "You control me." Elena stared into his silver eyes and saw it clearly. He wasn't protecting her out of duty. He was protecting her because the bond had already begun to change him. And no one in the kingdom would accept that. Especially Serena. Especially the council. Especially Alexander himself. But it was already too late. Fate had chosen for them. The moon had set, but its light still clung to the clearing as though unwilling to release them. Elena sat beside the dying fire, wrapping a torn blanket around her shoulders. Alexander paced nearby, every motion controlled but trembling underneath, the predator barely restrained. Neither of them spoke for a long time. The forest smelled of blood and rain. Finally she broke the silence. "You killed them," she said quietly. Alexander stopped. "They would have killed you." "I know," she whispered, "but the way you fought. I lost control." His voice was rough, full of something like shame. "That's the curse of our bond. When your heart races, my instincts answer. The stronger your fear, the more violent my response." Elena looked down at her hand, still faintly glowing from the burn mark. "And if I'm calm?" "Then I am calm," he said. "Your emotions feed my strength or strip it away." She let out a small laugh that wasn't laughter. "So you're saying I have to stay calm while living in a world full of monsters?" "Not monsters," Alexander said softly. "Wolves with hearts too wild for peace." He knelt beside her, the firelight tracing the scars across his shoulders. "Do you want to leave?" he asked. She looked at him, really looked. The lines of exhaustion beneath his eyes, the guarded kindness he tried to hide. "I want my old life back," she said. But I can't even touch my own heartbeat without thinking of yours. He reached out, hesitated, then brushed his fingers against her wrist. Then we learn to live with it, he murmured. Together. They reached the outskirts of Understone again at dawn. Cole met them halfway, his uniform streaked with mud and worry. Half the pack heard what happened, he said. Serena's already twisting the story. She claims the human lured rogues to test your strength. Alexander's eyes hardened. And the council. They're calling for an emergency trial tonight. Elena felt the air thicken. A trial? For you, Cole said. And for the bond. Alexander looked at him sharply. No one touches her. They won't need to, Cole replied. They just have to convince the pack that your connection weakens you. They'll use the law to cage you instead. Alexander stared toward the glowing caverns below. Then I'll face them. That night the entire heart of Understone filled with wolves in human form. Hundreds of them stood in the torchlit hall while the council took their seats. The air buzzed with restless growls, echoing against the carved stone. Elena stood behind Alexander, her pulse pounding loud enough for him to feel it. When his fingers brushed hers, she realized he was grounding himself on her heartbeat. The elder with the silver-striped beard rose first. Alexander Hale, Alpha of Understone, we call this hearing to determine the nature of your corruption. Speak plain, Alexander said. You were marked by a human, the elder continued. You share power with an outsider. It endangers us all. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Serena stepped forward, graceful as smoke. The king no longer commands the moon. His strength bends toward her will. Look at him, he defies the council to protect a mortal girl. If that is not corruption, what is? Elena's hands trembled. Alexander's voice cut through the noise. She saved my life. The bond was not her choice, nor mine. But it exists, and it grants balance. When I fought the rogues, I drew power from her calm. The bond steadied me. Serena smiled without warmth. Until it destroys you. The elder raised his staff. The council decrees the bond be tested. At the next moonrise, the human will touch the Alpha's heart. If the power holds stable, she lives. If it falters, both perish. So let fate decide. Gasps spread through the hall. Elena stared at them in disbelief. You can't just. Alexander gripped her hand. Don't. Serena's eyes gleamed. Agreed. The council struck the floor 3 times with their staffs. The sound echoed like thunder. The trial was set. Later, in the quiet of his chamber, Alexander paced like a caged storm. Cole leaned against the wall, watching him. They mean to break you, Cole said. I know. They'll push until the pack turns. Then we hold the line. Cole hesitated. You can still release her. Sever the bond. Alexander looked toward the sleeping human curled on the bed, exhaustion painted across her face. Do you think I haven't tried? He said. Every hour since she touched me, I've searched for a way. The mark answers only to her. Cole fell silent. Get some rest, Alexander added. Tomorrow we face the moon. Elena woke in the middle of the night to find Alexander sitting near the door, the faint glow of his mark lighting the room. You're not sleeping, she whispered. I can't, he said. She sat up, the blanket slipping from her shoulders. Are you scared? He met her eyes. I am a king who fears nothing. Then, after a pause, yes. I'm terrified. Elena moved closer. Then we face it together. The warmth of her hand found his. The mark between them pulsed once, steady, certain. For the first time since the crash, Alexander smiled. The moon rose huge and red above the forest. Its light poured through the ceiling cracks of Understone, painting the hall in crimson silver. The council gathered again, the crowd pressing close to see the spectacle whispered through the kingdom as the trial of the bond. Elena stood beside Alexander at the center of the stone circle. Her pulse hammered. He could feel it through the bond like waves against his ribs. Begin, the elder commanded. Alexander turned to her. Whatever happens, don't let go. Elena nodded. She placed her hand over his heart. Instantly, the mark between them flared. A column of light burst upward, spinning like fire made of moonlight. The crowd gasped. Alexander's body shuddered, but he stayed upright, muscles straining against the energy flooding through him. Elena felt heat rush through her veins, too bright to bear. Every heartbeat synced with his. His pain became hers, his strength poured into her bones. It was terrifying and beautiful at once. The elder shouted over the wind, "Hold it! Let the power speak!" The flames around them shifted from silver to gold. The stone floor cracked beneath their feet. Wolves fell to their knees, unable to withstand the force. Then, just as suddenly, the light stabilized. Calm. Pure. Balanced. Alexander exhaled, sweat glistening on his skin. Elena's knees gave out, but he caught her before she fell. The hall was silent. The elder stared, wide-eyed. "Impossible, the mark strengthened you." Serena stepped forward, her face pale with fury. "No. This is illusion. The human is manipulating him." "Enough," Alexander growled, his voice rumbling like thunder. "The bond is not corruption. It is balance. It is proof that the world beyond our laws still chooses." The pack murmured, half in awe, half in fear. Serena's lips curled. "If you will not destroy the infection, I will." Before anyone could stop her, she shifted, bones cracking, claws tearing through flesh until a massive white wolf stood where she had been. With a roar, she lunged at Elena. Alexander moved faster. He caught Serena mid-leap, slamming her to the ground. The hall erupted into chaos, wolves shouting, some shifting, others backing away. Cole drew his blade, ready to intervene but knowing better than to step between two alphas. Serena snarled beneath Alexander's weight. "You'd kill me for her." "I'd kill anyone who threatens her," he said. She laughed, low and broken. "Then you are already hers, not ours." With a violent twist she tore free, launching herself at Elena again. Elena fell backward, the world spinning, when a burst of heat exploded from her palm, the mark blazing like a sun. Serena screamed as the light hit her, throwing her across the hall. She landed hard, smoke rising from her fur. The smell of burned magic filled the air. The light faded. Elena stared at her own hand, trembling. "I didn't mean to." Alexander caught her shoulders. "You defended yourself. That power belongs to you as much as to me." Cole stepped between them and the stunned council. The rogues, the rebellion, Serena orchestrated it. "She meant to dethrone you tonight." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Several wolves dragged Serena forward, half-conscious but still snarling. Alexander looked down at her. "You wanted my throne," he said quietly. "Now you'll watch me rebuild it." He turned to the council. "The trial is over. The bond stands." The elder bowed his head. "As the moon wills, so be it." When the hall finally emptied, Alexander and Elena stood alone amid the broken stone and smoldering torches. She leaned against a pillar, breathing hard. "Is it over?" she asked. "For tonight," he said. "But power always breeds new enemies." He moved closer, lowering his voice. "You saved us, Elena. The light came from you." "I thought it came from us," she said. He smiled faintly. "Perhaps there's no difference anymore." She met his gaze, the mark between them glowing softly like a heartbeat. "What happens now?" "Now," Alexander said, "we find out what the bond truly wants." Outside, the first light of dawn touched the forest canopy. Below, in the hidden city of Understone, the wolves bowed their heads, not out of fear, but in awe. Their king still stood. And beside him, a human whose touch had rewritten the laws of their world. The halls of Understone had never felt so large, or so quiet. Word of Serena's failed coup still hung in the air like smoke. Every corridor Elena and Alexander walked through carried whispers. Some wolves bowed their heads as they passed. Others shrank back, cautious, unsure what the bond meant for them. A few glared, especially those fiercely loyal to Serena's old vision. But none dared to challenge the Alpha King now. Not after witnessing the blaze of golden energy that had erupted from Elena's hand. Even hours later, the stone floors still held faint cracks from the trial. Every reminder made the pack nervous. The bond was power they did not understand. And fear, Elena realized, shaped the wolves far more than loyalty did. Alexander led her into one of the upper chambers of Understone. High ceilings, open windows carved into the stone, moonlight spilling in thin silver lines. The room was quiet, untouched by the chaos below. Books lined the shelves. Scattered papers covered a long wooden table. He shut the door behind them and let out a slow breath. "You should sit." His voice was gentle, but strained around the edges. Elena sank into a chair, her muscles aching with exhaustion. She rubbed her marked palm. "Everything feels too bright," she whispered. "That's the bond responding to stress." Alexander pulled a chair across from her but didn't sit. He paced, restless. "When Serena attacked you, the instinct to survive amplified the mark. But what happened, what you did, was far beyond instinct." "I didn't control it," she said. "I didn't even think." "That's what worries the council." His jaw tightened. "They believe power without intent is the most dangerous kind." "And you?" Elena asked. "What do you think?" He held her gaze. "I think the bond is choosing its shape faster than we can understand it." Elena leaned back, trying to breathe evenly. Her thoughts kept replaying the trial, Serena flying toward her, the brilliant burn of light, Alexander's hand steadying her afterward. Everything had happened so fast. "What happens now?" she finally asked. "Now," Alexander said, "the council demands another demonstration." Her stomach dropped. "Another?" "At sunrise." "Alexander," she stood abruptly, the chair scraping behind her, "I barely survived the first one." "I know." His expression softened, though the tension remained in his shoulders. "But this time will be different. The council wants you to trigger the bond intentionally, not through fear." Elena laughed in disbelief. "You mean they want me to light up like a star again? On command?" He nodded. "If you can do that, they'll accept the bond as controlled power, not chaos." "And if I can't?" Elena asked quietly. The silence that followed was heavy. Finally Alexander said, "Then they'll argue the bond makes me unstable. And once the alpha is unstable, the throne becomes vulnerable." "So I'd be the reason they take it from you," she whispered. He stepped closer. "No. They've wanted to weaken me for years. The bond is only the excuse." His hand hovered near hers, hesitating. "But I won't let them take you. Or the throne. Not now." Her breath caught. "Why do you care so much?" He stopped moving entirely. "For centuries," he said slowly, "my life has been shaped by duty, by expectations, by rules older than this kingdom itself. Then you arrived, and you changed everything without trying." Elena swallowed. "I didn't want to change anything." "And yet you did." He finally took her hand. Warm, solid, anchoring. "You saved my life. You saved me again tonight. And the truth is," his voice lowered to a quiet confession, "I don't want the bond broken, even if I could break it." Her heart stuttered at the honesty in his voice. "Alexander." He let her go, stepping back as though afraid of his own words. "Get some rest. We face the council at dawn." She nodded, though her mind churned with questions and fear and something far more dangerous, hope. But rest never came. Hours later, Cole burst into the room without knocking. His expression was grim. "We have a problem," he said. Alexander was on his feet immediately. "What now?" "Serena's followers," Cole replied. "They're gathering outside the council wing. Armed. They think the council will use Dawn's demonstration to imprison you." Alexander's eyes narrowed. Her rebellion should have died with her shame. Cole shook his head. "Some wolves don't care. They want the old order back. A pure-blood queen. They want the human gone." The words cut deeper than Cole intended, and his eyes flicked apologetically toward Elena. "No offense." Elena forced herself to breathe. None taken. Alexander turned back to Cole. How many rebels? Too many. Alexander exhaled a long, controlled breath. Keep them contained. No killings unless necessary. Cole didn't argue. Instead, he looked between them and lowered his voice. Whatever happens at dawn, I hope you survive it. Both of you. When Cole left, the silence returned. But this time it felt heavier, pressing down on them with a weight of expectation and dread. The hours crawled. Finally, dawn approached. Wolves gathered once more in the council hall, though now the tension was sharper, darker, filled with the underlying crackle of rebellion brewing in the shadows. Alexander stood in the center of the circle again, shoulders squared, head high. Elena stood with him, trembling but determined. The elder council members flanked them, each carrying their ceremonial staffs. Cole watched from the perimeter, one hand resting on the blade strapped across his back. His eyes never stopped scanning the crowd for threats. Serena's absence was a wound the room pretended not to feel. Begin the trial of intent, the eldest counselor announced. Alexander nodded at Elena. Ready? No, she whispered. But let's do it anyway. She placed her hand against his chest. The mark pulsed once, warm, soft. But nothing more. Elena's heart dropped. Oh no. Focus, Alexander said quietly. Think of the bond. Think of what you felt last night. It wasn't thinking, she said. It was survival. Then think of that. You survived because you had to. And so did I. And so does this kingdom. Elena tried. She closed her eyes, breathing slowly. She remembered Serena's claws, the fear choking her lungs, the explosion of light. But nothing happened. A low murmur swept through the wolves. Fear. Doubt. The scent of weakness. Elena's pulse grew erratic. Alexander felt it. His hand tightened around hers. Elena, stay with me. I'm trying. Her voice trembled. The elder raised his staff. The bond weakens. The king's power is unstable. No, Alexander snarled. Give her a moment. We have given her enough. A sharp, violent crack sounded from outside the hall, then a scream. Cole spun toward the entrance. Alexander, rebels. They've breached the lower gates. Chaos erupted. Wolves shifted in a flash of fur and claws. Council members shouted. The heavy stone doors splintered as rebels forced their way in, fury burning in their eyes. Take the human, one of them roared. Break the bond. Another shouted, the throne belongs to wolves, not mortals. Elena froze, fear icy in her chest. Alexander shifted in front of her, shielding her completely, teeth bared. His voice thundered through the hall. Anyone who touches her dies. But there were too many rebels. And more flooding in by the second. Cole fought at the doorway, blades flashing, holding off as many as he could, but the tide was overwhelming. Elena, Alexander said without looking back, you must activate the mark. I don't know how. Yes, you do. He grabbed her hand, pressed it harder to his chest. Feel me. Not the fear. Not the chaos. Me. Elena tried. But fear threatened to drown her. Rebels rushed forward, snarling, claws outstretched. Alexander stepped toward them, shielding her with his entire body. And suddenly Elena understood. She wasn't afraid of the rebels. She was afraid of losing him. That fear, raw and desperate, ignited something deep inside her. The mark flared. A burst of golden fire shot through the hall, engulfing Alexander and Elena in an explosion of blinding light. Wolves were thrown backward like leaves in a storm. The stone floor cracked anew. The ceiling beams groaned under the force. When the light finally dimmed, rebels lay scattered and stunned. Some were unconscious. Some crawled away in terror. Cole, breathless, stared at Elena with shock. And Alexander, glowing faintly from the burn across his chest, turned to her with something like awe in his eyes. You did it, he whispered. By choice. Not instinct. Elena swayed. He caught her before she fell. I thought I was going to lose you, she murmured. His answer was quiet. You won't. The council, shaken and humbled, bowed their heads. The bond was now unquestionable, and the kingdom would never be the same again. Understone felt different after the battle. The rebels had retreated, defeated but not destroyed. Serena's remaining supporters scattered into the outer tunnels, their allegiance fractured. The kingdom trembled with uncertainty, but it also held a fragile new respect for the power they had witnessed. Word spread quickly. The human didn't just bear the bond. She had commanded it. For the first time, Elena noticed wolves stepping aside when she walked through the corridors, not out of fear, but out of recognition. Some nodded. Some even placed a hand over their chest in the old gesture of respect. She hardly knew how to react. Alexander walked beside her, silent, thoughtful. Cole followed at a distance, watching both of them as if the whole kingdom might collapse at any moment. They reached the balcony overlooking the heart of Understone, a sweeping open cavern lit by thousands of lanterns and bioluminescent moss. It looked almost peaceful, almost safe. Elena leaned against the railing. So, the council isn't trying to kill me anymore. Alexander huffed a quiet laugh. Not today. She shot him a sideways look. That's not very reassuring. Nothing is certain in a kingdom built on instinct, he said. But they know now that you're not a threat. They know the bond strengthens me. He paused. And they know I stand beside you. Elena's chest tightened. That might be the part they hate most. Let them hate it. He stepped closer, his voice low. I am their king. But for once, I want something for myself. She swallowed. And what's that? You. The word hung between them like the echo of a heartbeat. Elena looked down at her marked palm. Alexander, I still don't understand what the bond means for me. For my future. For everything I used to be. You're still you, he said softly. The bond doesn't erase your past. It only shapes your future. He turned to face her fully. Which is why I'm giving you choice. Choice. He nodded. You can stay, he said. Learn our ways. Walk beside me. Not as queen, not unless you want that. His gaze softened. But as the one person fate tied to my soul. She felt heat bloom in her chest. And if I leave? She asked. He inhaled, tension flickering in his eyes. Then you leave. I will not stop you. She blinked in surprise. I won't trap you in a world you didn't choose, he continued. You deserve freedom. Even if that freedom takes you away from me. Alexander, her voice cracked. He stepped back, giving her space. Whatever you decide, the bond remains. But its shape belongs to you. Elena turned away, staring into the glowing city below. Wolves moved through the cavern, rebuilding, regrouping, healing. Life continued despite rebellion and fear. Despite her. She closed her eyes, remembering the night of the crash. The dying wolf. The burn mark. The chaos that followed. None of it had been her choice. But this moment was. She turned back to him. Alexander. Yes. I'm not ready to leave. His breath caught. But I'm not ready to become yours either, she added gently. A flicker of pain crossed his eyes, but only for a moment. Then he nodded once. That is enough, he said. She extended her hand, palm up. The burn mark glowed faintly. Teach me, she said. Teach me how to live in your world without losing myself. His expression softened into something warm and unguarded. I will, he said. Every step of the way. Their hands met, softly, cautiously, but with the spark of something that felt like destiny unfolding. And below them, the wolves of Understone lifted their heads to the rising sun, sensing the shift in the air. Their king stood strong. And beside him was the human who had become a force powerful enough to change fate itself. If you're hooked on this world of hidden kingdoms, forbidden bonds, and an alpha king who'll burn down fate for the girl who saved him, then don't you dare leave without hitting that like button. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapters, because trust me, things are about to get darker, deeper, and a whole lot more dangerous. And drop a comment below. Would you stay in the werewolf kingdom or walk away from the Alpha King? Your support keeps this story alive. Stay wild, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next episode.